welcome back. This is Talk Time.
Well, the registration for the biometric verification number BVN ends tomorrow.
More than 14 million accounts belonging to about 20 million Nigerians have been enrolled.
This leaves some other tens of millions of Nigerians without their BVN.
But that's going by the figure released last year by the Nigeria Interbank Settlement Statistics (NIBSS) that there were 70 million bank accounts in the country.
In the studio to talk about the BVN is a financial analyst, Deji Awobotu. Glad to have you join us this morning on TVC.
Good morning.
First. Well,
thank you.
When banks BVN, what are we really talking about here? Just for clarity.
Okay. The bank verification number is actually a unique number that is attached to a bank customer. So irrespective of the number of accounts that particular customer does have across Nigerian banking system, he will be attached with just one single number. So the implication of that is for accounts that are nominees accounts where you cannot attach a phase to such an account, the implication is that nobody is going to come to claim that account.
So
the implication of that technically is for you to enroll for that BVN, you must be present. So for an account that does not have a phase, that account will automatically not be operational effective 1st of November.
So what basically now is the benefits of the BVN?
Now, once you have a unique number attached, then it reduces the case of fraud on your account. Now, if I'm going to carry out any banking transaction, for instance, with the BVN, it gives me a unique number, a unique identification. So no individual out there can operate my account without my express permission. And even if you're going to operate that account, I think that's something that the regulators will also need to do by tying all those accounts to that single BVN. So if I'm going to do a single transaction, or if I'm going to do any transaction across any bank, the regulators will view that account as being done by an individual, irrespective of the platform. So in terms of protecting your transaction as an account holder, that's one of the benefits. For the regulators to be able to oversee the operations of an individual carrying out banking business in Nigeria, it's also another advantage, basically.
All right, you talked about accounts not having faces. I'm wondering, what do you mean by that? And then add to that the fact that analysts are saying that this will sanitize the system. How?
Correct. Now, take it for a case where a check has been forged. That check will have to pass through a current account as far as Nigeria is concerned. Now, if I raise an alarm as far as that bank is concerned that my check has been forged, funds have been transferred from my account to another account, that will place the bank at the recipient ends on alert, and it will place that account on the spotlight. So irrespective of wherever that account holder goes to, because the account holder has registered with the BVN platform, the alert will raise in another financial institution that account is on a spotlight with Bank A or with Bank B. So technically, you won't be able to operate that account at all. And if you try to operate it, the law enforcement agent will get hold of you. So that is on one part. On the other side, if an account is just open for the purpose of, let me just open the account for just to ensure that money passes through for me to clear without, because there's some basic KYC documentation that should have been.
What's KYC?
Know your customer.
Okay.
All right. And that is the first thing you have to do when you open an account with a financial institution. Now, there are some requirements that would have been asked: your form of identification, your full names, your utility bill, all that would have been submitted at the point of opening that account. Now, in addition to those documents you are submitting, you also need to provide your BVN. So which implies that the account opening process will not be complete without the submission of a BVN number. So the other implication is if you don't get enrolled on that BVN platform latest by tomorrow, that account, you will no longer be able to operate the account anymore. That creates another issue of worry. If I have ₦1 million in an account and I fail to enroll on the BVN platform, what happens to my ₦1 million? The implication of that is the CBN will have to look for another platform. They may sanction the account holder for not doing it at the stipulated time, but does that mean that my ₦1 million is gone? That becomes an issue after 1st of November.
Oh, okay, so we'll ask you that anyway, but it's hours to the expiration of the BVN registration deadline.
The Central Bank of Nigeria says many bank customers are registered, but a number of concerns are still being raised regarding the exercise.
The Central Bank of Nigeria launched a centralized biometric identification system for the banking industry in 2014. This initiative, known as the JD Transactions.
Well, a financial analyst, Emeka Okengu, is joining us from Abuja. Thank you for joining us on the program. Now, tomorrow is the deadline for the registration for BVN. Will you say so far so good?
Yeah, I think what we've learned to make stories out of everything in Nigeria. I don't see why the BVN should actually be any major headliner. It's a very simple process. Okay, you run accounts in the bank, go and get a number that allows the bank to be able to verify your banking details and then make it interoperable. I don't see why people are making fuse about this. Because all this noise about maybe by tomorrow now, people are saying, oh, 20 million hasn't been captured. Let's start looking for an extension. For me, hey, why?
Well, Emeka,
why wouldn't anybody want to go and get a BVN if you really, you're running a clean account? Okay, because if you make it, let's make it elementary. Same thing the TSA, wants to do to our accounting system, probably the government levels, is the same thing the BVN is able to do to our commercial and, banking systems. So anybody who has an account and hasn't gotten his BVN by tomorrow, people, those who haven't registered should be questioned. That's my take on it.
Well,
because like your report said, what the BVN simply does is that it allows everybody to know what's happening to an account at every point in time. If you have multiple accounts, and one BVN number ties those multiple accounts to a single individual. That's my take.
All right, Emeka, apparently all haven't registered and all are not doing bad business. I mean, as you may be implying, not saying that really. But these people that have not registered, when the deadline is not extended, what's going to happen?
I didn't get the beginning of your question because I lost you, but I think I got, if the deadline is not extended, what's going to happen? What's going to happen is that you're going to have people who are not supposed to be having bank accounts, not having bank accounts. That's what's going to happen.
We'll get back to
happen. Because, I mean, there is no, you see,
all right, Emeka, we'll get to you in a bit. Do you believe so that that is what's going to happen to those that fail to register for BVN, that their accounts will be cancelled and their money, whoop, like that?
Now, in my opinion, I don't think that is going to happen. Because if I have 20 million in the account, yes, you can sanction me, but my money is still my money. The best you can do as a regulator is to slam me with a sanction. You can take 10% of that money, I don't care. You can take 20% of that money. That will be penalty for not doing what I need to do at the right point, at the right time. But the issue that it will not be extended.
Will there be any legal basis for doing that?
Well, they've sent enough circulars to that effect.
No, I mean legal basis for taking 10% out of your money for not registering for a BVN.
Well, it's just making a conjecture. Anyway, it's just a suggestion.
You have an option. Because if I don't take 10% or I don't take 20%, that's just my opinion, then the CBN has the right to say you are shutting down that account. Because the documentation is incomplete.
It's in
and
months,
irrespective of whatever value that is there, I don't care as a regulator. I gave you enough time frame and I extended that time frame to 31st October. So not complying with that means that you are ready to take whatever sanction comes out of it.
That's 22 months given for registration.
So, well, but then the people in the diaspora, like you listened to that report, are threatening legal actions because as far as they're concerned, enough time wasn't given. And I was actually wondering, was there really enough publicity about this?
Now, well, as far as Nigerians in diaspora is concerned, I think they should be treated with a bit of exemption. Because the time frame that we had in Nigeria, they never had that time frame. Now, imagine someone in Commonwealth of Dominica, for instance, or Dominican Republic. Do we have an outlet there? You understand? Because the BVS structure, you must go to the center and appear in person. It's not something you can do from the corners of your bedroom. It's not something you can do over the internet. So the regulator needs to provide a platform. So for those Nigerians in diaspora, I think the CBN will have to give them a bit of exemption to look for a workaround to achieve that objective. But for Nigerians, no, I don't think so.
All right, let's go to the streets of Lagos to find out what people think of the BVN registration.
you have done the system, unauthorized person cannot access your account, and if they were not able to access your account, they will not be able to withdraw your money unauthorized.
All right, we still have, it's still talk time anyway, by the way, and we still have Emeka at the Abuja connection area. Emeka, I'm asking you this question. Try, in the little time you have, to itemize what are the advantages of the BVN to the customer, the bank, and the nation.
Well, let's take it the other way around. First and foremost, to the nation. What are the advantages of a BVN to the nation? You know, we come from a country where you have a lot of insider trading, insider abuse in our procurement process. Okay? Now, what happens is that you have a lot of people who have multiple accounts. They know your customer concept is all about, why would you, a level 10 officer in government now have 300 million naira in 30 or 40 banks? And the BVN makes it possible for that money to be tied to a person, to one individual. That's the most important thing. Okay. Secondly, so one of the guys who narrated, in your strippers, talked about the Yahoo boys and all these fraudulent activities and people being paid monies, kidnappers. The list is endless. Okay, the list is endless. What the BVN simply does is that it begins to regulate what they call financial transactions. You are able to follow the money. That's what it's all about. So anybody who does not want to now go and get into that system either does not understand it or needs to be asked some further questions. That's my point. So, I mean, like a friend of mine will say, the answer is actually in your question. The BVN is a very simple process of now integrating, or if you had 1 million accounts in 300 million banks, whatever your name is, whatever your signature is, the moment you issue any transaction, you are able to tie it to that single individual. That's what it's all about, my brother. So for us to be asking people, or somebody is asking for extension, I don't think there should be any extension. I truly do not think 1 minute of extension should be done. What could happen is that when people have very genuine cases, they could now use the legal system to be able to now get their accounts to be reopened. That's what we should do. Because the moment you want to ask for these extensions, those who would abuse the process, those who don't want it to happen, will keep asking for the extension. So for crying out aloud, the question is, what disadvantage? What do you lose as a customer if you have a BVN number? Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
We'll
absolutely nothing.
All right, Emeka, we got you there. Deji, let me come to you now. About 20.8 million Nigerians have registered, and they registered about 40 million accounts. And if you look at this, basically according to NIBSS, it means that more accounts are owned by an individual. Meaning, correct. So will you say it's been successful so far?
Well, from all analysis, I can tell you categorically that it has been successful. It's hard to say if you try to tie it to percentages, because based on what we mentioned earlier, if I have a single BVN number and attached to like 5, 6, 7 different accounts, that collapses all that into one. So all your banking transactions, irrespective of the number of bank accounts, irrespective of the number of banks that you're doing business in, all those transactions are tied together.
But just 20.8 million people have registered.
Well, by 31st of October, we will know the true position.
Yeah, because they said they have not got really the true position yet. Yeah. They will actually collate and then give us. I have gone to the bank to pick up my card, the BVN card. Okay. I was told by the young lady who gave me the card that I have to go to my banks one by one to get this harmonized in my accounts. But we were discussing yesterday about this program. Somebody said, no, you don't have to go to your account one by one. Correct. Now, clarify what should really happen. What should really be the case?
Because you have accounts in 5 different banks, in addition to the bank you enrolled for your BVN, you do not need to go. If I'm going to do banking transactions right now, I can't remember the last time I went to the bank. I do my transaction via the internet. All right. Now, most of those banks have created an internet link to your account where you can supply the BVN number and it will automatically update your standard account in that bank. So you need not physically appear in that financial institution. Why? Because I already have enrolled, have an internet banking platform, and I can communicate with my banking officer via the internet through emails. You can send that BVN number via email to your account officer. So long as the email address used in communicating had been the email address you've been using to communicate in previous or prior transactions, then you can do that. At other times, your bank officer can call you, sir, we need to execute this transaction and your BVN is still pending. Have you enrolled? If the answer is yes, can I have the BVN number? Remember, the bank is calling you to the phone number you already registered with them. That is a control measure. So technically, you do not need to appear in all those banks.
Good. All right, Emeka, well, according to CBN, they've even partnered with telecommunication companies anyway, so people can even press some shortcodes and get their BVN numbers. Emeka, now by tomorrow it's going to end, and we've talked about extending or not extending. The question is, it's one thing to get BVN, and it's another thing to link all the accounts together. So how you think that will be workable for so many people that have accounts in different banks in different places?
Sorry, you might have to take your question again. We lost the network.
All right, so having a BVN is one thing, but you have to link all your accounts together. And we've had people saying that, okay, they're outside Nigeria, they have a local account here, they have accounts abroad. And then, of course, they're saying you have to take these accounts to your various banks, though they don't have access to the short codes in Nigeria as local residents. So what do you think they can do?
No, I think the gentleman in the studio there has just given a very explicit explanation of what can happen. Everybody gets an alert after you do a transaction. Okay, and when you're opening your bank account, you usually either give a phone number, okay, or you give an email address. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody has an account officer. Everybody who has an account has an account officer. So all these stories we are trying to now make it look as if, you know, we have a situation here. We don't have any situation. It is all about you don't want to walk into your bank. The moment you're captured, the moment your biometrics are taken, you know, at that initial stage, every other thing you want to do linking your account can be done via, you know, the internet. That's why even if you're living abroad, all you need to do first and foremost is to go to one location, and then you can be able to tie everything together. However, I am not saying after tomorrow, you know, if you have money in the banks, central bank has not said we're going to mop up the bank, we'll mop up the accounts, and then we're going to take your money or whatever. They are saying you can receive money, but you can't take it out. What that implies is that for you to be able to take that money out, you might now need to go through some legal process, okay, to be able to now, you know, get a legal authorization to be able to access your account. So I think for once, let's not look at the demerits of the BVN, because I see nothing. I truly don't see any demerit. Let's look at the merit vis-a-vis, you know, first and foremost, integrating accounts, vis-a-vis running a proper procurement system, vis-a-vis checking fraud, okay, vis-a-vis, you know, having an integrated banking system that can fit into, you know, the socio-economic realities. So for me, you know, I find it very difficult to find any faults in or any reasons why anybody who has a bank account would not want to go and get a BVN number.
All right, just hold it there, Emeka. I know that you find.
But before you clarify, really, not every Nigerian has a banking officer.
We'll get back to you.
If they do, they don't know them.
That's true. Correct. All right. Well, she's pointed out something very poignant. Okay. Well, a student, this is quite enlightening, serious if you like. A student in the UK, Dara Kindele, who has not been to Nigeria for 3 years, says he hasn't heard about BVN. That's one. Talking about publicity. He says security agencies and not banks should take biometrics. That's not the case over there.
Okay. And at the point they were even charged. There was a protest about that.
Yeah, there was a protest about it. Now, if she's not been to Nigeria for 3 years, the question then that we should ask is, has she been operating that account for the 3 years period that she's been out of the bank, out of Nigeria? If the answer is no, then trust me, that account will be dormant. Now, I cannot have
if the answer is
significant. Yes. If the answer is yes, that she's been operating the account, they should have been operating the account through a platform. And there is no bank in Nigeria that I'm aware of that would not have alerted the customer directly or indirectly. So, not hearing that, and she's been operating that account, but the chances of that happening is like 0.01%.
The biometrics she talked about.
Now, for the fact that she's, well, let's now assume.
I think that is, I don't know what that is.
Let's assume he's not been operating the account for the past 3 years. The account obviously will be dormant. I cannot have a significant amount in an account and that account will run dormant. I'm not big five in Nigeria. So certainly you will want to do something about that
Make it
account.
active.
So, and in an attempt to do that, then the concept of the BVN will come to the limelight. So being in Nigeria outside, for being outside Nigeria for over 3 years and not operating the account will mean that whenever she comes back to Nigeria, whatever position she meets
No,
on
you've
ground,
not tackled the issue. She said
Okay.
over there, biometrics are
Yes.
usually the purview of the security agencies.
Agencies,
Correct.
and not the
So
bank.
she's wondering, or he's wondering. You placed a she, but I don't know now.
He.
Okay.
There is a he.
Yeah, there is a he. So
Okay.
he's saying that over there is not the case.
Okay,
What does banks have to do with biometrics?
But you should understand that if I run a financial institution, it is my right as an institution to put enough control measures in place to safeguard the interest of my customers. To what extent I need to go, the law does not have a restriction. So if I demand that all my account holders registering with my institution should give me the details of the biometrics, then you don't have a choice. I need not be a security agent. I'm putting control measures in place to secure and to protect the customers in my own financial institution.
I hope he's listening so that he can get this
So
message.
she can go to court, or he can go to court and complain that, well, it is not your right to take my biometrics. Well, I need to confirm your identity. And in a bit to do that, then you don't have a choice. You must subject, and if you're not ready to subject yourself, then you can go to the next bank at the next door.
All right.
That explains
Emeka, I want you to enlighten us, really. So after the deadline now, and then Nigeria starts using the BVN, I would like to know if a biometric function will be implemented at POS and ATM terminals as well.
You see, first and most importantly, what is the BVN? The BVN is not part of your financial transactions. The BVN is a banking instrument introduced by the central bank to be able to know your customer. That's basically what it is. Okay? So that when you now want to now put a tag or a tab on an account, you are able to now, it helps security agencies. Remember that there's a law that says any amount over 500,000, I think for an individual, 5 million for a corporate company, gets reported to the EFCC. Okay? Now, remember that. What that simply means is that some people can now go and break all these monies into 5 million or 500,000 or 300,000 so as not to get that EFCC report a little bit under what the proper range is. What the BVN does is that it throws all that up and ties it to you. So as against the customer is actually an operational instrument that allows you to be able to monitor, if you may, accounts or monitor inflows and outflows. That's basically what the BVN does. Because we just typing in a number, you are able to now integrate all my 2030 accounts into one single figure. So I go to pay 20,000 because I want to launder probably 10 million. By the time you now start looking at that 20,000 against one BVN number, it ties up. So it's important that we now begin to now wonder or ask questions. Why would anybody who runs an account, like the gentleman again, said you have an account for 3 years. If you open your email, your Facebook, the first thing you see there are adverts on BVN. It's all over the place. So anybody who's talking about, enough advertisement, enough notice, enough information, that will be very, very unfair. That will be very, very false.
All right, Emeka, again,
so
hold
I
your
think
thoughts.
let us focus on what are the gains of the BVN. That's what's key.
Yeah. Okay, hold your thoughts.
That's what's key. So if you have captured 20 million people and then you have 28 million people that have millions in their accounts and they don't want to tie it to a central, control base, then something has to be wrong there.
All right, hold your thoughts. Emeka will get back to you. He touched on what we were talking about behind this earlier on. I wanted to take that up and break it down the way you did. It came out so picturesque when
Now,
you did that.
If we have a 500,000 as the threshold for an individual, for instance, a customer that is intending to pay more than 500,000 into that account and trying to escape the suspicious currency reporting, as far as NFIU is concerned, will break that money into 100, in a bank A, I could have like 4 accounts, just in one bank. That 100,000, I'll split it into those 4 accounts. Because I have another 4 accounts in bank B, remember, I could have a current account, I could have a savings account, I could have savings 1, I could have savings 2. there is no limit to the number of accounts I can have as far as the financial institution is concerned. So if I have another 100,000, another 200,000 split it into 2 accounts in another bank, then technically the financial institution are not under that obligation to report me to NFIU. Why? Because I've not crossed the threshold, which is about 500. Now, with that, it won't happen again if I have BVN. Meaning that the 400,000 I paid in bits or in splits of 100,000 in Bank A will be summed together as 400.
So whether it's Deji here, Azizat here, Ndi here,
so long as it's
or Benjamin
one
here,
BVN,
one
BVN.
BVN,
Nails
how's all
it
of them together?
Good, as far as Bank A is concerned. With Bank B, that transaction I did for that day will be tied together with what I did in Bank A to summarize all together. There's an implication here. If I'm doing a transaction with an institution, the institution can decide, okay, you know what, I'm not going to pay you through a check. We know there's much heat on your transaction, banking transaction. What happens if those institutions decide not to go banking and want to do cash transaction? How will you monitor that? Then the CBN has another responsibility. Yes, we are saying let's go cashless. Now, is there a law that says if I don't do banking business and I try to do cash transaction, I will be jailed? We have the Money Laundering Prohibition Act that says the transaction you're going to do in cash transaction has a limit. But some institution will say, I'm disregarding that. I'm going to do this transaction, 1 million transaction, 2 million transaction in cash. It's up to you to decide whether I want to take the transaction or not. Now, if I say I'm not taking the transaction, what will happen? I will lose that transaction to give to someone else that is willing to accept that cash transaction. If the money passes through my bank account because I have registered with BVN or I have enrolled for BVN, it will be brought to the limelight that yes, I did a transaction of so much. The taxman will come after me. The CBN will come after me. So the money launderers are aware of it.
All right, we'll talk more about this. Deji and Emeka, please stay with us. We have our correspondent Tolu Lokpe Ogunjobi, who is outside a bank somewhere in Lagos. Hello, Tolu. What is it like there? Are people there registering?
Hello, Tolu.
Tolu,
if you can hear us, what is the atmosphere like there?
Well, we've been through CMD Road today. That's the road that leads to Magodo here, and we've checked about 5 banks. We checked Sky Bank, Zenith Bank, GT Bank, and First Bank, and also Diamond Bank. But surprisingly, we didn't get the kind of crowd we had when this ultimatum expired. That was June the 31st. That was the earlier deadline. But today, what we are seeing is it's just a normal activities on the banking premises. People are going in and out. I think the level of compliance is a little bit commendable to what we have seen today. And even some people I spoke to yesterday that gave their views are saying that they've actually realized that the central bank is out to protect them. So I think this has actually helped in the level of compliance. But what we've seen today, people are not thronging the bank premises like the long queues we saw the other time. We have not seen that today, and this is about it's almost 9 a.m. and before this time, when the last deadline was given, people had thronged the whole premises of all the banks on this road, and there was the traffic gridlock, both human and vehicular traffic we had on that day. But that's not what is happening today.
With any customer. Have you, Tolu, had an interaction?
I didn't get that question. I didn't hear you.
Okay. Have you had an interaction with any one customer?
Today?
Yes.
Yes, at the bank.
As you're talking to us.
Today?
Yeah.
No, not. We met just one person at the entrance of Zenith Bank going in, and he said he had already complied with the directive, but he was just going to link it with other accounts. You know, some people have these BVN numbers, but they have more than one account. So what they are now trying to do is they're trying to link up to their other accounts. If you have 2-3 accounts, all you need to do is to take the number to your bank and it's linked to all your other accounts so that all your transactions can be monitored and the unique identity which the central bank wants can also be achieved. So the person I spoke to just explained that, he showed me his card and said I've registered but I'm going in to link it up with my other accounts. But why wait for the final day? There was no response to that question. You know, normal thing. They believe that the rush has to always come, but the rush is not here today. We can't really see people moving all about. I think the level of compliance is really commendable. I can really affirm that.
All right, thank you, Tulu. Surprisingly and interestingly, no queue in front of any bag as seen behind our correspondent there. Strange or commendable? Well, we'll see how it goes.
Many people have not registered. When
CBN brings out the figure tomorrow, then we'll know.
I'm talking about people that are not many.
Tomorrow is Saturday, that will know. It's possible your bank's open. Anyway, Emeka, before we let you go, bank officials sometimes really get accused of fraud. Now, will BVN be able to check this as well?
Can you?
All right, Emeka, for clarity, let me ask you again. Bank officials being accused of fraud. So will BVN check this?
Yes, it will. Well, if you're talking about check, I had the word fraud. Of course, the BVN will check fraud. It will check fraud. You know, I didn't get your questions correctly. I just said fraud.
Bank officials.
Did you ask if the
bankers committing fraud?
Yes.
Will it check bankers committing fraud in customers' accounts? Will it check such activity of bankers committing fraud?
Okay, let's make this a little bit more elementary.
Yeah.
You see, the TSA and the BVN and the cashless policies, you know, actually now form a back end of what you call your in placing proper and sustainable financial control measures, because it allows you quick, fast, reliable information on financial transactions. Okay? And what is fraud? Frauds happen when you have loopholes in your financial transaction systems. Your cashless economy, supported by your BVN, driven by your TSA, gives you a tighter financial control system. I think that's just one way to be able to explain it. And of course, yes, it will be able to help to check fraud in all ramifications of both, you know, at the level of operations and at the level of transaction.
All right, thank you very much, Emeka, there for your time on TVC Breakfast. We've enjoyed you. All right, Deji, you're still here.
All right.
What, if any, is the economic implication of freezing the accounts of so many because of lack of enrollment of the BVN?
We're looking at that as an option, that if the CBN decides to freeze the account. Now, we're having a high level of compliance now, based on the correspondence comments, that there are no rush in the banks, there's no crowd and all that. That can be tied to the fact that prior to this time, customers of financial institutions were unable to make withdrawals from their accounts if the BVN has not been imputed. Remember, we had a comment from a copper, a particular lady, saying that, well, she couldn't withdraw from her account because she does not have the BVN number. So the implication of that is, for the past 3 months, enough transactions were pending because of the lack of BVN. So what do you expect?
Bank verification number, BVN, is primarily to help prevent unauthorized access to customers' funds. The Apex Bank originally gave an 18-month registration period for the BVN exercise, but the deadline earlier set for June this year was extended to October. As this deadline now draws close, the central bank says over 20 million bank customers
would have gone to the bank, get the BVN done for them to be able to operate their account. So for any accounts that we have without BVN number, will be accounts that has been lying there for quite a while, if that restriction had been implemented by the financial institutions before now. That's on one part. On the other part of freezing the account, if the CBN goes ahead to freeze those accounts, it will have a whole lot of implication, because there will be a lot of uproars. Yes, there will be sanctioned quite well, but the sanction, in my opinion, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think it should get to the point of saying you are freezing that. I may not be able to operate that account. I may not be able to operate that account, but not being able to operate that account does not mean I should not be able to get money into the account.
Okay.
So money should flow into the account. The restriction should be inability to take the money out of the account. So if Dickpop from CBN mentioned that, yes, you can get money into the account, but you can't take the money out, then there should be a process, even after 31st of October, when I can take that money out of the account. Now, the rule is you can't take money out of the account without BVN. Now, let's try and tie this together. I get money into the account.
Yes.
I can't take the money out of the account. Then when will I be able to take money out of the account? Because the money got into the account will be for a transaction.
All right, Deji, let's pause you for a moment to pick Hassan's call. He's calling us from Jaws. Good morning to you, Hassan. Go ahead with your comments.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning to you.
I'm really enjoying this program. And I want to comment by saying that what those guys are saying there, that you go into a bank, you register for a BVN, and then that's all. You don't need to go to other banks. Because I have 2 separate accounts. And when I did it in UBA, which is not my bank, I had to go to EcoBank myself with the BVN to give them there. Same thing with First Bank. I have to go there. So I don't understand what is going on. We hear it on TV that you just do it in one place and then it will be captured or you forward it here and there. And another thing I don't understand, after 31st October, what happened? I don't know why Nigerians continue to give the masses, they put us in difficult situations. Why can't this thing be a continuous process? Why must it be stopped? It should be a continuous process where before you open an account, you go, maybe if the BVN is part of it. What if it stops now? What happens?
All right, let him reply.
Let
our guest, let Deji reply to you. I think I know that it's going to be a continuous process, but reply to all that he has said.
Yeah, now, on the issue of you enrolling for the BVN in Bank A, Bank B and C, that you have your account needs to get that number. Now, enrollment in Bank A does not automatically tie the BVN number to your account in Bank B and Bank C if Bank B and Bank C is not informed. So we're talking about information and communication here now. We don't have a central database for now. All right, that if I move into a Bank A and I get the number through the enrollment, it is my responsibility as an account holder in Bank B and Bank C to communicate that number to my account officer in Bank. I can either go there personally or I send the number through other communication channels that I've been having with Bank B and Bank C. So, sir, you will need to communicate that number, either personally or through any other means. That's
we'll have a call. Omar, we have you on the line. Deji's still here. Deji, sorry, you have to hold it there. Let's take this call. All right, Omar, go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Really, I find it very interesting listening to this your program. And what baffles me was there was a time I registered for my BVN in FCMB. So I am expecting that by the time I get to the next bank for any transaction, even though I gave them the number before now, when I went there for a transaction, they were asking me of my BVN number. I said, can't you trace it? I filled a form here in UBA for you to have maybe link to my other account since I provided the BVN number. Yeah, what they were telling me was that I have to go back to that bank.
All right, Umar, we get you. Apologies because of time. We'll have to stop you there. But thank you. We got what you were discussing. But because of time, really, we just want to ask you quickly: would it be nice for it to be a continuous process, the BVN registration, as people are suggesting?
Certainly, it's going to be a continuous process because if I don't have an account with Bank A and I'm opening an account with Bank A, let's say in November, certainly they will ask me for the BVN. So if this is the first time I'm opening an account, then certainly it's going to be a continuous process. Now, we need to understand that before the information of BVN into the system, we have millions of accounts out there that needs to be updated. So it's a continuous KYC documentation.
All right,
now that there's a law.
Thank you very much. Your passion and you've been quite interesting on the program.
You made it very quite simple and understandable
on
for the people.
The program this morning. We've had Deji Awobotu. Thank you once again for being on TVC Breakfast. And now time to take a look at what's trending on social media with